Hey guys, welcome to Budget with a July Dreamer. My name is Miranda, and in today's video, I'll be sharing with you my January 2022 sinking fund update. If you are new around these parts and are not familiar with what a sinking fund is, a sinking fund is essentially a fund you set up where you set money aside for a specific purpose. So this could be paying off a debt, it could be saving for future expenses. For example, like you want to save for your car insurance so that you'll be able to pay that off for the year as opposed to doing monthly payments. So you could set that sinking fund up, or it could be things like Christmas. It comes around every December. So from the beginning of the year, you start putting money aside so that closer to Christmas, you have that money ready and will be able to buy presents instead of cash flowing it, especially when you are trying to pay off debt, or you're short on funds, or you're on a low income. Even when you're not on a low income, it really does help to have a sinking fund to help you for those future expenses that might come up. Please note that a sinking fund is different to an emergency fund. Although in my tracker right now, you can see emergency fund, it's just that I choose to keep my savings and sinking funds tracking in the same place. That's the only reason you see it there. But a sinking fund and an emergency fund are two different types of savings. So let's get into my sinking funds that you can see on the screen right now. So the first one is the emergency fund. So with the emergency fund, I've got two. One is short-term savings. That's what I call it. So this is the emergency fund for my home. And then the second one is for my rental property. So I budgeted for the month of January to add £200 into my home emergency fund and then 250 in towards my rental sinking fund. I was able to do both. So I was able to add in the 200 into my one and 250 into my rental property. But what you will notice is that for my own one, I actually had an emergency in January that meant I had to dip into that fund. So I took out 1060 pence. I started the month of January with 8060 pence in there, and I ended the month with 7200. For the rental property, I didn't spend anything. I started with £100 and I ended the month of January with £350 saved. If we move to my home sinking fund, so for me, you will notice that I've got major categories and then I break it down into the various types of categories that I want for my sinking fund. So for home, I've got home maintenance, buildings and contents insurance, home emergency insurance, and then for my rental properties, buildings and contents insurance. So for my buildings, contents insurance, and home emergency for my main home, these are all fully funded, so I don't add any money to them. But for my home maintenance fund, this is a sinking fund that I actually spend from. So I save and spend from it, and you can do that. So this is for things like toilet paper, cleaning products, all of those things. I use this fund. So for the month of January, I budgeted to put 500. I did put 500, but then I ended up spending £300 and 1 pence. You will notice that even for the emergency fund, I had like 60 pence, and this one I have 1 pence. This is the interest that I'd earned, and I just decided to take that out as I was spending that money for something else. So I started the month of January with £500 and 1 pence, and I ended it with £700. So if we go to the rental, buildings and contents insurance, I only started this sinking fund recently. So I budgeted £50. I was able to add in £50. I didn't have anything at the beginning of January, but I ended January with £50 saved. Then if we go to my car sinking funds, I've got insurance, maintenance, annual check, MOT, and tax. So for tax, MOT, and annual check, these are all fully funded, and I'll be using them in the next month or so to pay for the various services. And then for car maintenance, I said I wanted to put £50. I ended up putting 25. I took out 20, and then also I had started the month with £20, and I now have £25 in that fund. For insurance, I budgeted £50. I added £50, didn't spend anything. Started off with £25, and I now have £75 saved in that sinking fund. If we move to gifts, I've got Christmas, birthdays, and festive holidays. So for Christmas, I wanted to put £50, which I did. I didn't start with anything because obviously Christmas was in in December, and I decided for the month of December I wasn't going to fund that sinking fund, and then I started again in January. So I now have £50 saved in that sinking fund. For birthdays, I wanted to put £50. I managed to put £45.72, and I spent £20.72. I didn't have anything in that fund, but I now have £25. Festive holidays, I wanted to put £50, but I was only able to add in £25. Didn't spend anything. Started with 25, and I now have £50 saved. For subscriptions, so Disney and Amazon Prime, I funded these two sinking funds back in November, so I don't need to add any money, and I didn't need to, so I didn't. Then for travel, which is my favorite category, I have broken it down into staycation, vacation, and day trip. So staycation is obviously anything within my city, within the United Kingdom. That's what I cover in staycation, where I have to spend longer than a day. Vacation, I classify that anything abroad. Um, and then day trips, it's in the name. For day trips, this is fully funded, but I actually had an initial target of £150 for this fund, but then I decided, let me up this to £200. So I had closed December with 150 in there. I ended up adding £50, and the 5 pence is interest. So I ended the month of January with £200 and 5 pence. For vacation, I planned to put 250. I put 258 and 55 pence. I spent 533 and 60 pence, and I'm sure you're wondering how I was able to do that when I only put in 258, but that's because I already had a balance in there of £300. So I now have £24 and 95 pence saved. Then for staycation, I wanted to put 150. I ended up putting 100. I didn't have anything in there initially, so I now have £100. So with my sinking funds, I had budgeted to add 1,650. I was able to add 1,604 and 32 pence. I spent 1,874 and 93 pence. My starting balance in all of my savings, so not just my sinking funds, but my emergency funds as well, I had 10,270 and 61 pence, and I ended with 10,000 even. I do have a goal for all of what the savings here that you can see to save £30,000. So I am now at 33% saved for all of my savings and sinking funds. So I think this is all I wanted to share in this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.